Hello and welcome to Power Automate Basics. This is the module all around cloud flows. Cloud flows, this is API to API automation, and they're made up of three components. A trigger, an action, and conditional logic. So these cloud flows have these three things. Now a trigger is, there are three types of trigger. There is one that runs based on an event that happens in a cloud or on-premise service, and these are dictated by the APIs. So for example, Outlook that we're building out today has a trigger called when a new email arrives. So when a new email arrives, that will trigger an automation to happen, to occur. That's type of trigger number one. The second type of trigger is a manual action. And in that manual action, you can have various different things. It can be pressing a button, can be selecting a file and then executing a flow on that. Different types of manual actions. But the difference between those two, and then the third one is running on a schedule. So a particular time, every hour, every day, every Tuesday, that sort of thing, running on a particular rhythm. And how I like to think of it is the first type, it is the API that is kicking off the automation. It's API that starts the automation. In the second, the manual action, a human starts the automation. And in the third one, just the passage of time starts the automation. These three types of triggers. I will talk more about those as we go into the lab sessions. There are also actions inside a cloud flow. So in our example we're going to build out, there are certain actions around posting a message to Teams or sending documents to AI Builder, or indeed running a desktop flow. So there are certain actions that are steps that happen after the trigger, and actions happen mainly on connectors. And finally, there's this concept of conditional logic. So this is it's in a few different flavors. One of the flavors is in automated decisions. So if a particular condition is met, then go down the yes channel and do certain things there. If it's not met, go down the no channel. We'll be using this in our labs as well. Important thing here is that there's also different types of conditional logic, such as loops. Do something for every document in a particular set or for every row in a table. So conditional logic also has different flavors as well, but in our labs that we're going to do today, mainly we're doing the condition based on a particular condition being met. So these building blocks, the trigger, the action, and conditional logic, form the basis of a cloud flow. Certainly the cloud flow that we're going to be creating today. There is a desktop flows connector inside Power Automate that allows you to connect cloud to desktop, and we will definitely be leveraging this. In fact, our first cloud flow will build on the lab that you did in the previous module to connect the cloud to the desktop. So do make sure that you have completed the previous lab for you to be able to complete the labs moving forward. There is a machine registration concept, so you can register your Power Automate desktop instance onto an environment, and then that machine shows up in that environment that then allows you to run cloud flows to call that machine from cloud flows. Machine registration is part of one of the earlier modules in setting up your tenant and your environment for this course. If you have not set up your machine for registration, go back and do that, otherwise you won't be able to do the labs. But this machine registration concept allows you to connect to that machine directly from within the Cloudflow connector. And we'll be doing this in lab number 5. Lab number 5. And then lab number 6, we're going to use a connector, an applications connector. So we're going to use the Outlook connector just to introduce the concept of connectors. There are over 500 of these on the platform, and each of the different types of things, different services. We'll walk through a few of these. I'll show you some of these in the lab, and it's easily automate your core operations processes. One of the things you should definitely do, I'm sure you've done it already, is just go on there and see what applications you use in your organization, and is there a connector for it already on the platform. File providers, databases, web APIs, all sorts of apps have connectors, over 500 of them. But if your application isn't listed on there, then there are custom connectors. We can create them for you, or if you know a bit of programming, all that needs to happen is the underlying API needs to support a standard authentication method such as OAuth or API key, something like that, and it needs to respond in JSON. As long as it does those two things, then you can easily create a custom connector, or indeed reach out to people like us and we can build one for you. So even if you don't find your app on there, it's highly likely if they have an API, we'll be able to create one for you. So that's lab number 6. We'll be creating a connection to Outlook. So there's 2 labs to do after this. Lab number 5 is creating your very first cloud flow, which will connect the cloud flow to the desktop flow you created in labs 3 and 4. And then lab number 6, we're going to introduce and talk. And in lab number 6, we'll also talk a lot more around the user interface of cloud flows and different types of flows that you can create. So lab number 6 is a very simple lab, but there's a lot of explanation about the platform in lab number 6. So see you on the other side of that, and thank you for watching. Chat to you then.